What is going on, Nation of Sneakies? Sneaky P here with my first impressions of Madden 20. As a lot of you guys have know, I have been grinding this game hard on Twitch over the last week while playing on Origin Premier Access. And we've really been enjoying our Bengals franchise. We've been working on sliders so I can start up a franchise over on YouTube with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I've been streaming a lot, and one of the questions I have been getting most is people coming in and going, should I buy this game? I have a general rule where I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their money. But what I will do is tell you guys my first impressions of the game and hopefully help you guys make a decision on whether or not you guys think this is a game you will enjoy or not. So I do have a few disclaimers first and foremost. The first one being the game is not officially out yet. This game's not out on console unless you got like one of the extra editions to get the game early. But the base game itself is not actually released yet. And they do plan on a day one patch that might be fixing some of these issues. I know they have addressed some things. I haven't heard them address everything I'm going to talk about, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. The other disclaimer that I would like to say is that I'm going to be honest with you guys. These are just my opinions, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. If you guys have been on this channel long enough, you guys know I'm not going to BS you. I'm not going to be like, hey, go buy this game. It's flawless, in hopes that, you know, maybe EA will like me more and hook me up with one of their games like they do all of the other YouTube channels and stuff like that. So that's not me. I'm going to be honest with you guys and tell you guys what I am noticing and what I am thinking. And yeah, so with that said, let's jump into it. I'll start off with the good. Now, first and foremost, the good list is much shorter than the bad list. However, what is on the good list is very, very significant, guys. And that is, first and foremost, the gameplay. I feel pretty confident in saying Madden 20's gameplay is the best gameplay we have gotten from a Madden game since probably Madden 15. It's really looking good. There are some issues with it in which I will get to, but the overall game itself feels a lot smoother. The animations look nice. Things are playing pretty well. The gameplay has made a lot of improvements, especially from Madden 19, which had the most broken gameplay of any Madden I have ever played before in my life. I actually rage quit one Madden game on stream, and I never touched the game again. Like, I actually said, like, I will never play this game again, and I meant it. I say that a lot when I rage. I think I said it on Black Ops in an old video. I've said it on PUBG a lot. But no, when I said it on Madden, I meant it. Like, I never played Madden 19 again. I'm not noticing anything like that with Madden 20. I'm not getting those vibes. I'm very much enjoying the gameplay so far. It is not perfect. But you know, it's not ever going to be perfect. You just have to work with what you can get. And most of the issues, not all of them, but most of the issues are acceptable. They're not game-breaking issues outside of a few things, which again, I will touch on in a little bit. The other good thing I will say is All Madden. The All Madden difficulty seems to be much better. Again, it's not perfect, but last year if you played All Madden, they pretty much broke the game mode in the name of making it more difficult. You guys know I want a very difficult series, but I also want a realistic series. I don't want to go 19-0 every season and win. Like, I like having a challenge, but it needs to be a challenge that makes sense. Last year, it was just stupid, dude. Like, the game would completely break just trying to make it more difficult for you. No matter what you did with the sliders, it didn't make sense. I would have an open receiver on the outside running like a post route or something like that. And if you throw it to him, or wherever he was on the field, I should say, he would have enough space. Like, it should have been a catch, but the defender would teleport to the ball. Like, unusual speed that just did not make sense within what would actually happen physically, what could actually happen from a physical standpoint. He would move it at an unusual speed and intercept the ball. And you would see stuff like this happening all of the time. Your players would have weird animations that didn't make sense. Your guys would fumble all the time regardless of the fumble slider. There were a lot of issues that broke the game. And it really took away from it. And if you tried playing on All Pro, it was just simply way too easy. From what I've been told, I haven't played a lot of All Pro yet, but from what I've been told, All Pro is actually a little bit more challenging this year. But from what I've played on All Madden, it's actually more realistic gameplay. It's not perfect. There are issues I will get to when we go to the bad list. but there aren't as many game-breaking issues that are happening as frequently as they did last season, and that's a great improvement to see. So, recap, the good list is short, but what we are getting from the good list is the most significant thing, because regardless of what I might say about franchise here in a minute, if I can have some good gameplay, I can have a good franchise. And what I would love to do is give you guys the best franchise since the Crusaders. And I think the gameplay might give us a chance to actually do that. So I'm very excited about that. Now, as we go to the bad list, and as you guys know, I'm a franchise guy. I'm not speaking from the point of Ultimate Team, clearly. But yeah, as we go to the bad list, first and foremost, I'll address the glitches that I mentioned during the good part. There are still some glitch issues. Some of this might be patched up. Others I am less confident will be patched up. So one of the issues that I have been having is in the fourth quarter of games, and I don't know if this is a glitch or intentional. For the life of me, I don't know why this would be intentional, but in the fourth quarter of games, the kicking meter seems to disappear entirely. And it is near impossible to make a kick without a kicking meter. I guess if you really grind out just kicking, you can memorize what to do maybe. But there's really no reason for that. The icing the kicker worked great in the past, and they still seem to have that feature. But on a lot of plays, like I lost a game last night because we were in overtime and my kicking meter just straight up disappeared and I couldn't make a chip shot. And there wasn't anything I could do to fix that. I couldn't call a timeout and reset it and get it back. It just didn't work. And that's a major issue. This is one of the issues I do think can be patched out. I'm hoping it'll be patched out, but it's an issue nonetheless right now. The other glitch issues that I'm noticing, and this is touching a little bit on what happened last year with all Madden, where they kind of cheese you out of a game, and they're not happening as much, but they do still happen from time to time. Last night on the Bengals franchise, I have a wide receiver cutting back to the ball. I'm making the throw. And what happened is the cornerback glitched in front of my wide receiver. My wide receiver had position, but he kind of teleported backwards through the corner, allowing the corner to get an interception and ultimately costing me the game. That is a game-breaking issue because, again, if I'm trying to have a realistic franchise, a turnover can cost you a game. And if you lose one game, that could be the difference between making the playoffs or not, or winning a playoff game or getting eliminated. Something like that really should not happen at all. When something like that does happen, it can be a game changer. So I don't know if that's something they are going to be able to patch out or not. It's not anything that was really patched out last year. I don't know if it's only an all Madden issue or if that's something that's happening on all pro as well. It doesn't happen as much as it happened last year, but it's still pretty game-breaking nonetheless. So that's one of the things that's kind of been an issue. Jumping into the actual franchise mode. This is going on the bad list as well, because for the last few months, we have heard over and over and over about how EA was recommitting themselves to franchise. And they give us this spiel every year, and every year we get mostly the same thing. And once again, we're getting mostly the same thing. There's a few minor changes in it, but ultimately it is a super stale franchise, especially when you look around at what they are capable of doing. You look at what 2K is doing every year. 2K is putting out a great franchise mode already. Like, if you asked me last year things I would improve on franchise mode, I'd say maybe nerf the rookies a little bit because sometimes they were a bit overpowered. But really, that's it. You can do anything on 2K you want. You can relocate wherever you feel like relocating to. You can make whatever uniform you want to make. There are just so many options on 2K. You have, your coaches to work with and stuff like that. And that comes into play a little bit on franchise this year, but nothing remotely close to significant. Mostly, we get the same exact thing. A few of the changes they did add: the Pro Bowl, which I'm not giving them any credit for adding the Pro Bowl because it should never have been taken out of the game in the first place. It really made no sense to take it out. So I'm not going to give them credit for putting something back in the game that should have been there this whole time anyway. Other things, they have the X Factor ability now, which in concept I like. I like it in concept, but it definitely missed the mark because some of these guys are just stupid overpowered. I'm talking about, maybe it's only on all Madden difficulty, but I'm talking about like playing a game and having like defensive linemen especially get 5-6 sacks a game. Now, Aaron Donald is an amazing player. Khalil Mack, freaking amazing player. Those guys are not going to average 8 sacks a game. It's just not going to happen. And I understand the point of it is to make you adjust to them more, which is fine, but they are still overpowered. Most of the issues really seem to be from a defensive standpoint that I've noticed, because the other thing is like hard-hitting players. It doesn't matter what angle they have on you. They will get a hit stick hit. They can be chasing you down from behind, and they're going to get a hit stick, which just does not make sense. So, like, they'll be diving at your feet, get a hit stick, and force a fumble. Again, in concept, whatever, it's great, but the execution, I think, missed the mark a little bit. I like the idea. Maybe they can nerf it, and there was a patch yesterday that might have fixed some of the issues with it. I didn't notice the sacks being as prevalent as it was before the patch. I don't know if that was just by coincidence or what. But the other thing is the hit sticks were still happening. Again, this is mostly from a defensive point of view. Offensively, the X factors seem okay for the most part, but I do think they overcorrected in some areas, and they do get a little out of hand at times. The other issue that I like the idea in concept, but I just feel like they missed the mark, is the rookie ratings. I absolutely think rookie draft classes have been overpowered in years past. That's why you guys have seen me try to make it more challenging for myself by adjusting what I can scout and what I can't scout, and that's been fine for the most part. However, the draft classes right now are just way too weak. We're talking about like just a few players above a 75 rating. Like, when I say a few, I mean maybe 6 or 7 players. You can occasionally get steals late in rounds, which is nice, but this is a main issue for me because I simulated through a season. I had a fullback that had maybe 2 touchdowns on 5 carries throughout the year, and he was rated as one of the best rookies in the entire draft class. And that is pretty much because no rookie is starting in the game because they are all rated so horribly. And that is just a major issue because you're not, like, you can still develop these players. That's fine. But the idea that maybe only 3 rookies are going to start the entire NFL season is absurd. A lot of these guys are taken to start immediately, both in the first round, second round. Occasionally you'll get that 5th round starter, and you're just not seeing that. What I do like is as you get to the later rounds, you're getting super low overall players. And that makes a lot of sense because when you're talking about those 5th, 6th, 7th round guys, sometimes they don't have a long NFL career. A lot of times they don't have a long NFL career. And that is actually reflected this season. And I do like that. But the idea that no rookie starts in the NFL is wrong. And that should not be happening. Maybe this is something that they will fix. I don't really know. But it's an issue right now nonetheless. Player contracts. Again, this is another thing that I feel like they had the right idea, but they just kind of missed it in concept. They really wanted to make it more challenging for you guys to keep your team together. They wanted players to ask for more money, which I think was good. But once again, it's just an issue of them overcorrecting what they already had. And we see this when I simulated a season and I'm trying to re-sign Nick Mullins, my backup quarterback, and he was asking for $11 million a year on like a 5-year contract. Like, that's not going to happen. I mean, maybe Nick Mullins is saying, hey, I want my opportunity to go somewhere else and start. But when his overall is not a starting caliber quarterback, there's no team that's going to offer him that, right? And so there's some miscues there. You have like mediocre players asking for completely absurd contracts. That's something I have noticed a few times. And I do believe, you have those guys that are always asking for more. But the problem is, if you don't give them these ridiculous contracts, they're going to go to free agency. And sometimes I'm sure that happens in real life, but I feel like it happens a lot more than it should in this game. We're not talking about the superstar players here. Again, we're talking about backup quarterbacks really trying to get crazy deals. And obviously players are making more money in today's game. That's wonderful. But I do feel like it missed the mark. Again, all three things that I just said, I like their ideas and concept. I truly do. I just feel like they overcorrected. And that's something that you see happen sometimes. And I think that's something that happened here. So that's a lot of what I've been noticing for franchise. But really, I'm tired of them telling me franchises differently. Look around, man. This is the same franchise. This is the same scouting. We have the same teams that we can relocate to. We have the same issues. You know, they also added in, I guess, where your coaches or players will talk to you about maybe trying to get a certain challenge. That's fine in one sense, but again, sometimes it works out well, other times it doesn't. Sometimes you'll have the fifth wide receiver on your roster saying he needs 150 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it's like, well, come on, that's not going to happen. That doesn't happen if you're like one of the best wide receivers in the NFL very often. Try doing that with the 68 overall receiver on all Madden, and it's just not going to happen. So some of those scenarios, they're better, they're improved. The idea is there, but ultimately, franchise is just as stale as it has been for a long time now. There are minor improvements to it, but the overall feel of franchise is pretty much the exact same. You do still get your stories here, but you don't get the announcements of the stories when those players get drafted at the draft anymore. I don't know, man. I'm tired of them telling us they care about franchise only to give us the same thing. And one thing I will say, I do believe there are people in EA that genuinely want a better franchise mode. I just don't know that the higher-ups are going to allow them to do it. And that's an issue for me. It really is. So the other thing I'll talk about here really quick, I might as well just do what, like a training really fast? I don't know. I'm not even really paying attention to what's happening in the video. I'm just talking to you guys, you know. Is face of the franchise mode. So face of the franchise, that QB1 mode, you know, it was hyped up a whole lot. You get to play in college. You get to get drafted, yada, yada. All of that, you know, it's a super shallow mode, man. You play 2 college games, you get a few cutscenes, and then you're right back into connected franchise player mode. You'll get some scenarios like you tend to get now, but really, it's like, go play 2K's My Career mode, and then play this, and tell me which one's more in depth. And so, the argument has been, obviously, I think this is the trial, right? The argument has been, well, you know, the game comes out every year. They just don't simply have time to really focus on franchise. But they do, because look at 2K. Again, 2K has a great franchise mode, and yet every year they're coming out and they are trying to improve it more. They're trying to give you options, and Madden just does not want you to have options. And for a long time, I kind of wondered if this was more of an NFL thing or an EA thing. And the old director of Madden came out and said, no, the NFL didn't care. They would be fine with a lot of the stuff. It was the higher-ups that just wanted EA to focus on Ultimate Team, because Ultimate Team makes them money. So franchise is just a neglected game mode, really. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they continue to try to tell us they care about franchise mode when they don't. Again, all of that said, all my issues with franchise, my issues with some of the stuff that kind of missed the mark. I like the idea and concept, but they missed the mark. The thing is, through all of that, as much as that sucks, the gameplay is better. And if you guys are missing NFL gameplay and you guys want an NFL game to play, I think you guys can have fun on this game. I'm definitely having fun on it as far as gameplay standpoint. Like I said, I think there's a lot of promise for me to get a really good franchise from this gameplay, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So I'm hoping we can make that happen. But overall, franchise mode is still stale. It still leaves a lot to be desired. Yeah, those are my thoughts right now, man. Like I said, a day 1 patch might be able to fix a lot of these issues. I think a lot of this stuff can be fixed through patches. I don't know that they all will be. The other thing I will say, and I didn't really talk about this initially, is because I do think some of this will be addressed on the day 1 patch, but simmed stats are still pretty broken. Quarterbacks don't run the ball at all. I think there was a franchise where Tom Brady ran the ball more than Lamar Jackson, But I think EA has come out and said they are working on fixing this. The other thing, running backs don't catch the ball out of the backfield hardly at all. Like Christian McCaffrey will have under 15 catches on the season. Clearly something like that's not going to happen. I don't know if they addressed that one, but I imagine that's something they are working on as well. So, you know, there's a lot of things that can change. That's why this is my first impression. This is not a final review. This is just what I've been noticing so far. I hope I answered some of y'all's questions on what you guys are hoping for, what y'all are expecting. I tried to be honest with you, and hopefully this can help you guys make a decision. But those are my first thoughts. Maybe after I play the game more and see what they patch and what they don't work on and stuff like that, I can release like a full review. But for right now, this will do, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope, like I said, I hope I helped a little bit. I will be going live as this video is posted if you guys want to come hang out. Probably doing more of the Bengals franchise. But we are getting closer to a slider set over there. Still a work in progress. Still having a few issues. But hopefully I can get this Buccaneers franchise started after the day one patch comes out. That is my current goal. I also have some other stuff planned for this channel that I'm very excited about. But thank you guys so much for sticking around. I know I haven't had a whole lot of content on my channel over the last few years. Madden 19 really played a large part in that. But for those that have stuck around and are still here, man, I really do appreciate you guys. Hope you all have a freaking fantastic day, and I will see you guys later. Peace.